Unfortunately, they moved shit on him.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
Come on now, fellas! We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go!
Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yao. We've got Mo Patton with us, as always. Looking forward to a fantastic show, as we have a couple of great guests coming your way and plenty of fantastic topics to broach in said show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Ryan Callahan coming up here in just a minute, as Tennessee has landed yet another five-star player, moving up to number 6 in the composite 24/7 recruiting rankings for 2024. It's exciting news, and we'll talk about that with him. We'll also get with Sam DOUGHTON of MTSU GoBlueRaiders.com fame as we await the safe arrival of Chip Walters back to the States.
Our favorite international traveler.
Yeah, he's an international superstar. And
Jet riding.
yeah, that's right. Limousine riding, jet flying,
Yeah.
Rolex wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun.
I don't think they can hold these alligators down.
Hey, whatever you got to get from Chip, we'll get to it.
Maybe when Chip comes back on, he'll give us 2 claps and a woo.
I hope so. We
Yeah.
need 2 claps and a Ric Flair for sure. But it is going to be fun talking to Sam. We've not gotten a chance to do that. And it's kind of ironic because typically Chip come from Sam. So it works out. We just skip the middleman.
We're cutting out the middleman today. Yeah.
And that's,
No middleman Tuesday. It
No.
would be better on Monday, but
it would, in fact. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to that as well. And we're going to have to double up later this week on our SEC football coverage, thanks to Mother Nature.
yeah. We were scheduled to have Ryan Black of the Louisville Courier Journal on with us today to continue our SEC previews with the University of Kentucky, but media availability in Lexington has been affected by the unseasonable heat.
And
I guess it's unseasonable, even for this time of year.
even for this time of year. I mean,
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and we continue to see some folks acting out of an abundance of caution, as they like to say. We've had at least 2 kickoffs for Friday night impacted by anticipated heat.
just in our
Yeah, just in
Our
the
coverage
Main
area.
Street Murray coverage area.
There
And
have
I
been
think there have
several
been
others.
others. Yeah. So,
So, yeah.
so as you get ready to go out for athletics this week. Oh, and also
Friday's rundown will be very vital for you.
hopefully we will have the most timely and comprehensive coverage of kickoffs for Friday night. But
Yeah.
also I know when we get into the rundown today, there is at least one time change to be aware of. So
Well, you've got all of that and much, much more coming up in the show. Right now, we're going to get you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
Here's the rundown.
in volleyball action on Monday, Blackman defeated Stewart's Creek 3-2. It was Gallatin 3-0 over Christian Community. Middle Tennessee Christian with a 3-0 win over Columbia Academy. Providence Christian Grace Christian and Franklin 3-0. It was Columbia Central 3, Hampshire 0. Eagleville with a 3-1 win over Riverdale. Loretto defeated Spring Hill 3-1, and it was Harpeth in 5 games over Waverly 3-2. Girls soccer action from yesterday. Battleground Academy defeated Columbia Academy 9-0. Franklin Christian defeated Middle Tennessee Christian 7-2. Springfield edged Clarksville Academy 4-2, and Springfield 4, Clarksville Academy 3. Davidson Academy 3, White House Heritage 2. And in Little League World Series action, I think we told you this final, it was Seattle 6, Nolensville 2.
Major League Baseball yesterday, the Mets down the Braves 10-4. Tough loss there for Atlanta. We'll talk about that later in the show. Cubs 7-6 winners over Detroit. It was Pittsburgh 11-1 over St. Louis. The Houston Astros down the Red Sox 9-4, and a grand slam in the second inning given up by Ryan Weathers proves to be the difference as the Padres down the Marlins 6-2. NFL preseason action, the Baltimore Ravens fall in their first preseason loss since Eddie Lacy was a top draft pick in fantasy football. That's how long ago it's been since the Ravens have lost a preseason game. They fall to the Commanders and Sam Howell, who played fantastic, by the way, 29-28. Today's scheduled Little League World Series play, just about to give you the first pitch now. Nolensville and Henderson, Nevada in an elimination game on ESPN.
Volleyball action. You know who's from Henderson? Former Nashville Sound Chad Hermanson is from Henderson, Nevada. Anyway, okay. Volleyball action today at 5 o'clock. Warren County plays at Wilson Central. At 5:30, Providence Christian is at Columbia Academy. Also at 5:30, Ezo Harding hosts Friendship Christian. Hunters Lane goes to Overton. University School of Nashville is at Middle Tennessee Christian. 6 o'clock starts for Eagleville at Cannon County. Forest at Culleoka. Hampshire hosting Summertown. Harpeth Hall at Harpeth. Loretto hosting Mount Pleasant. Joss County traveling to Murfreesboro Central. Riverdale is at Rockvale. Houston County comes to Santa Fe. Shelbyville is at Spring Hill. Cheatham County is at Sycamore. Laverne goes to White County. Have fun with that trip. At 6:30, Siegel is at Oakland. Cookville is at Smyrna. Lebanon is at Lebanon's at Stewart's Creek. And Tullahoma hosts Columbia Central.
Girls soccer action at 4:30 this afternoon. Nashville Christians at Brentwood Academy. John Overton is hosting Cane Ridge. At 5 o'clock will be Providence Christian at Grace Franklin. And also at 5 is James Lawson hosting Antioch. Cornersville goes to Loretto. Murfreesboro Central's at home against Centennial. At 6 o'clock tonight, Franklin Road Academy is at Donaldson Christian. Hunters Lane goes to East Robertson. Ezo Harding hosts STEM Academy, while Fairview plays host to Creekwood. Portland goes to Good Pasture. Clarksville Northwest is at Kenwood, and Middle Tennessee Christian hosting the Middle Tennessee Golden Eagles. Rockville is at Warren County at 6. Watertown hosting Greenbrier. West Creek's at White House Heritage at 6:30. Macon County goes to Friendship Christian. Zion Christian plays host to Forest. Shelbyville is at Spring Hill. Beach at home against Clarksville with first touch at 7 p.m. Also at 7, Blackman takes on Smyrna at home. It's Coffee County at Columbia Central. Page at Franklin. Gallatin hosting Siegel. Green Hill at home against Martin Luther King. Springfield goes to Kirkwood. Mount Juliet hosts Franklin County, and Lebanon goes to Stewart's Creek at 8 p.m. tonight. Should be a really good match down in Linville as Cullioca travels to Richland.
Yeah, that's a game that was originally set to start at 7 o'clock, but has been pushed back. And I'm checking on something real quick, because I don't know that I realized that game was at Richland.
So you got to make sure that your photographer knows it's at Richland.
The schedule that I have says Richland at Cullioca, so tread lightly on that one, y'all.
All right.
Major League Baseball tonight, 5:40 first pitch. Chicago Cubs at the Detroit Tigers. At 6:05, it's St. Louis at Pittsburgh. At 6:20, the Mets and Braves resume their series at Truist Park. 7:10, this one can be seen on TBS. It's Boston at Houston. Mets and Braves, by the way, on Valley Sports South. Minnesota is at Milwaukee. That's a 7:10 start. At 8:38, it's Cincinnati at the Angels, weather permitting. And at 8:40, it's Miami at Petco Park against the Padres. WNBA action tonight. 6 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. It's the Las Vegas Aces at Atlanta against the Dream. At 6 o'clock on NBA TV, it's the Connecticut Sun at the Washington Mystics. At 7 p.m., no TV apparently for this one, as the Seattle Storm is at the Chicago Sky. And at 7 o'clock on Twitter, the Dallas Wings are at the Minnesota Lynx. And that is your rundown.
Top Columbia Neely's Mill Shopping Center right here. Make sure to go see them for fresh deli, meat and 3 vegetables each and every day. Also, the fresh hand-cut meats and their fresh produce.
Is the truckload meat sale over?
Truckload meat sale's over, but the pre-Labor Day sale is underway, which means there's a lot of meat on sale, getting you ready for your grill out, for getting a day off on Labor Day. So
that's not this coming Monday, but the following Monday, right?
That's correct. It'll be September 4th.
4th, yeah.
And
a day off. Wow, what's that?
Exactly.
Okay, hold up.
Go ahead.
So I have some clarity regarding that Richland-Cullioca game. And it is, in fact, at Cullioca.
All right, Richland at Cullioca, 8 p.m.
So, thank you, Derek Atkinson.
Always good to have friends in
Places.
Other places.
In places, yes.
Let's talk a little bit about Conference USA.
CUSA.
Since there's no
hyphen, right?
Yeah, you can call them that.
No, they're no longer CUSA. They're CUSA. Not to be confused with CUSA, Alabama, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Or CUSA County or anything up there near Gadsden.
Okay.
Or the river, which is a nice place. So, Conference USA, according to an article on The Athletic. Now, I've not seen this announced anywhere.
Athletics typically pretty solid, though.
This is a pretty solid report saying that Conference USA presidents and athletics directors have agreed or have signed a grant of rights deal through its ESPN/CBS contract, which is 5 years with a 6th year option, which would take them through the 27-28 academic year or the option.
Now, is that a mutual option?
That's a good question. It just says option. I don't know whose option it is. but one would think it's mutual.
I would think that's a valid question.
Yeah. And a lot of folks are really confused by this on the internet, which it's the internet. When are people not confused? But what this has done, obviously, is a great deal for Conference USA because they don't have to worry about members leaving at this point. Now, is it a good deal?
I guess they don't have to worry about members coming in either.
Well, technically, they can bring members in. They can bring members into the grant of rights, and
But are you going to want to slice that pie any thinner, though?
well, technically, they can renegotiate the price if
More members?
yes,
Okay.
but because if they were to, they're not going to. But say Stanford came in, they could negotiate that for the 1.8 million viewers per game that you're going to get for Stanford. So it's a great deal for Conference USA. They don't have to worry about members leaving. It's a great deal for some Conference USA members. But there are people who will tell you that in the event the AAC does not or is not able to entice the Pac-4 to join them, and the Pacific Athletic Conference was able to entice some of the AAC members, a la SMU or any of the westernmost members of that conference, that Conference USA might have some teams that would backfill into the AAC, such as Western and Middle. Now, we talked with Chris Massaro a week and a half ago-ish. I don't know.
When was that? That's a week and a
Last-
half ago.
yeah.
It was 2 weeks ago tomorrow.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago tomorrow, we talked with Chris Massaro. He said the remaining members of Conference USA had an agreement to stick together.
He also said that while his primary, obligation, responsibility, loyalty is to Middle Tennessee State, he feels like as a college athletics official, he has an obligation to college athletics to try to bring about some stability in any way he can.
And I think this is a way to do that.
Yeah.
So I personally feel like this is a solid move on both sides. We don't have to worry about anything for the next 5 to 6 years. We're good.
As Chris Vanini says in this article, which is a pretty wide ranging, it's generally a group of 5 article, but in speaking to this grant of rights, it's a major step up in stability from recent years, and no other G5 conference has a grant of rights. So,
And I think that's a big part of this, is that you're the only group of 5. So why? When, you're getting $750,000 a year now, the next step up is $7 million. But the Conference USA war chest is in pretty good shape because Florida Atlantic's NCAA tournament run, you're going to be getting that for the next, 5 years?
I think so.
You've got all of the exit fees from UAB, from
Charlotte,
North Texas, FAU, all of those exit fees. The war chest is in good shape.
and you've still got your bowl tie-ins that you're going to be splitting money from.
You don't have to worry about them at all. And matter of fact, you've
also got exit fees from Southern Miss Marshall and ODU from 2 years ago.
So I feel like this is a positive for Conference USA members, including Western and Middle. A lot of folks say, well, nobody wants them anyway. Well, that's not necessarily true.
I know that's not necessarily true.
I think Middle and Western were certainly courted by at least one other conference, and probably 2. And so the AAC might make sense, but if one of those two conferences ceases to exist. If a conference dissolves, which is most likely in some scenario because there's just not enough teams to backfill, right? If a conference dissolves, those bowl tie-ins, you might go up a rung. Now all of a sudden you're in the Sun Bowl instead of the Weed Eater Bowl or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little more money. I don't know. I feel like this was I feel like it was a good move by Conference USA. I could be wrong. I could be out here thinking that, something is.
I don't know what could possibly not be positive about it.
Well, I mean,
I guess there are some possible negatives. But realistically, who's going to have a chance to better themselves significantly relative to the situation that they're going to have now?
Western, Middle, and
I think at that point though, you are banking on the stability.
Liberty, maybe, and potentially La Tech. But I don't think so. To me, Middle and Western are the biggest brands. Liberty obviously has the most money, but brand-wise, I feel like Middle and Western probably have the most stable brands in the conference. And so if Middle and Western made a pact to stick with Conference USA through the last round, why not go ahead and lock everybody in at this point? Everybody else lock in. And I think everybody probably followed Middle and Western's lead on this. We need to talk to Chris Massaro, whether it's on or off the air. and I've reached out to Jacksonville State's AD, Greg Seitz, to see if we can get him on as well, because in the event that this is a thing, we'd like to get some, just get some thoughts from him and what it means to his school and how important it is. So.
Before we go to this break that I know you're getting ready to go to, we need to extend our thoughts to the Tennessee Titans and cornerback Caleb Farley and his family. Apparently, there was an explosion at a home owned by Caleb Farley over in North Carolina overnight last night, and reports are that his father, Robert Farley, was in the house and died in that explosion, and the house is a total loss. So certainly our thoughts again are with Caleb Farley and his family. And it's my understanding they lost his mom here not long ago. So really, in 2018 while he was playing at Virginia Tech. So.
Yes, again, our thoughts with the Farley family and with Caleb, and he's been placed on the PUP list, and obviously for good reason. So hope to see him get back with the team here very soon. Now, let's take that break. When we come back, Ryan Callahan joins us to talk some Cruton. VOLS landed another 5 stars. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today is presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Can you hear us, Justin? We good? All right. We were muted for a while, and I don't know if that was you, me, or whatever. But welcome back in. Main Street Sports today is presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint in the Lee Company studio here in Columbia, Murray County. And time now, Mo, to talk to another Murray Countyan, but he left. Probably a good call.
He did.
But we're excited to talk with Ryan Callahan of GoVols 24/7 about a little recruiting. Ryan, what's up, man?
Not much. How's it going, guys?
Going well, thanks, other than it being quite warm out. Is it warm in Knoxville as well?
It is. It's quite hot. I think that's happening across the state today. Not the kind of weather I love to have this time of year compared to Friday night. We had nice weather Friday night for high school football, I thought, but this not so much, and more like what we're used to in August this time of year.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, Ryan, Chris wanted to get you on because of another boom, as Kelly Harper likes to call it, for Lady Vols basketball, coming out of UT football today. Talk a little bit about the latest and what that means.
Yeah, 5-star edge rusher Jordan Ross of Vestavia Hills High School in Alabama, just outside Birmingham, picked Tennessee over Texas last night. Florida and Alabama were also officially among the finalists, but it came down to the Vols and the Longhorns in the end. And, really, really big pickup for Tennessee. They needed some edge rushing help in this class, hadn't done much there to this point. And Ross was a longtime top target. They offered him last September, had really been after him since then, hosted him on 4 visits, or even earlier this year. I remember telling some people I thought Jordan Ross, one of their best bets among the 5 stars that they were pursuing. So a guy that they looked like a realistic option for a while, but they had some misses on the defensive line, still needed some edge rushing help, and to get a win like that going into the season, definitely a big boost for their recruiting class. They jumped in the 24/7 Sports composite team rankings from number 11 to number 6 with that pickup. So they've been kind of going in and out of the top 10 for a while now, and now firmly back in the top 10 with the start of the season just about 10 days away. So nice pickup there for Tennessee, and definitely one that they're excited to get a guy with a lot of athleticism, and you can't have enough edge rushers like that in this day and age, especially.
Jump Notre Dame, Penn State, LSU, Michigan, and Texas A&M, and going from 11 to 6. That's right. That's solid.
Now,
some good. I was just going to say some good programs going back and forth. A lot of parity in recruiting these days. It's a little more competitive, I think, just to finish in the top 15 in this NIL era, especially. But to be firmly in the top 10, building on what they did last season, that's a good place to be going into the season. Even though obviously I kind of tell people all the time, you got to be cautious about judging recruiting classes until December. You really do have to kind of wait and see the finished product. But so far, it's been pretty good for Tennessee, no doubt.
Yeah, a lot of positives, including Mike Matthews. In July, just ahead of, or maybe at the end of SEC Media Days, we saw that he had committed, and recently 4-star offensive tackle Bennett Warren. There are a lot of folks who obviously came into the Josh Heupel era with some question marks in recruiting. Obviously, NIL has a lot to do with it. The collective issue and the ability to be at a high-profile institution who really is embracing NIL opportunities. We just saw Brew McCoy with a unique one. Is this a product of Josh Heupel just finally being at a blue blood program to recruit, or is it NIL driven, or is it both?
It's both, along with the success that Tennessee has had. I think you have to give Josh Heupel and his staff a lot of the credit, because that they kind of exceeded expectations their first couple years, and what we're seeing now is a little bit of product of that. It's not just about on-field results, but that's definitely part of it. And we've seen, we got a lot of questions last fall as Tennessee was beating Florida, and especially after the win over Alabama. Where's the recruiting momentum? Where are we going to see the results kind of pick up as a result of what Tennessee's doing? Fans who'd kind of struggled through a pretty rough decade were wanting to see some immediate payoff for what they were doing on the field. And we kind of told people at the time, we thought you were going to see it more with the 2024 class even then than with the 2023 class. Did have some nice pickups down the stretch in 2023, but a lot of what you've seen the first 8 months of this year has been built off of what they did last fall. And Jordan Ross is a good example of that. Again, they offered him last fall. His first visit, his first ever college football game he attended was the Tennessee-Akron game last year, a sellout for Tennessee for a game that was not a marquee game on their schedule by any stretch. And then he goes back less than a month later for that Tennessee-Alabama game. And a lot of the recruits at that game ended up on the field as part of that celebration afterward. I mean, how can that not make an impression on a high school student? So lots of these kids that you're seeing commit to Tennessee and that you have seen pick them over the past several months were guys who've been high on Tennessee since last season, and that at least opened the door for Tennessee to be contenders for a higher level of player. I think we've seen more and more this year. They're in some 5-star battles and things like that, and now obviously winning their fair share. Now 2 5-stars in their class as a result of kind of the doors that they opened by winning 11 games last season. Having a season like that, it just puts you more on the radar for those types of kids. But no doubt, part of it is NIL. Part of it is Josh Heupel's staff doing a good job. It's all of those things, but certainly I think it's hard to judge Heupel based on what he did at UCF. And I always said it's 2 totally different games in recruiting for going from a program like UCF to Tennessee, and he's clearly recruited at a higher level than people thought he might.
With Ross and the receiver Mike Matthews from North Carolina, this is the first time Tennessee has locked up commitments from 2 5-stars in the same class since 2015. When they got Hillsboro's Kyle Phillips along with Khalil McKenzie and the receiver Preston Williams. So it's a pretty nice effort for UT, regardless of who the coach is. Ryan, how much does the clarity with the NCAA sanctions that were hanging over them from the Jeremy Pruitt era, getting those out of the way, how big a deal has that been in terms of them being able to go out and recruit?
I think it's helped for sure. I don't think the past several months, I didn't really think it was affecting anything. I think Tennessee had done a good job of, when they came out and, kind of self-imposed some stuff and tried to get it all behind them, doing the best they could to, once the notice of allegations came out, especially, and a lot of the, Tennessee sort of got out in front of that. And, they said a while back they did not anticipate a bowl ban. They were not going to self-impose that. So they'd kind of done a good job of getting out in front of that. And I think they had sort of tamped down any expectations of there being a postseason ban. And that was the main thing they were fighting. Now they still got some pretty heavy sanctions and obviously things they'll be having to deal with for the next few years. But it's the type of thing that Tennessee will gladly deal with that and move forward, because they, limitations on official visits and even not being able to host visitors for some games over the next few years. That's not a big deal compared to the stigma that can come with a postseason ban. So they wanted to avoid that. They did. And they were, there would occasionally be a team as you got into a head-to-head battle with another team that might put ideas in a player's head about what the possibilities were. And that's where I thought the worst of it came in, was the uncertainty, because then other teams start to fill in the blanks on what the punishment might be. That's where Tennessee was having to fight it earlier in the process. Once it got toward the end, there was very little talk of a postseason ban. And because of that, even though it may have come closer to a postseason ban than we realized, but regardless, Tennessee kind of did a good job of getting in front of that. So it's good to have some clarity and some finality to the situation, but I don't think it's the type of thing where recruiting's just going to take off as a result of that, because they've done a good job of kind of putting that in the rearview mirror already.
Ryan Callahan of GoVols 24/7 joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Ryan, you mentioned the success Tennessee's had on the field, playing a big part in the 2024 class. You also mentioned that nothing is final until at least December. That being said, how important is having success on the field this year? And is there a level of success that they have to reach in order to keep this momentum?
I don't think so. We got that question recently, and like people kind of wondering if they fell short of expectations, if they won 7 or 8 games this year, would that really damage Tennessee's recruiting class? And I don't think it would decimate things if they went 7-5 in the regular season or anything like that. I think they would still be okay. But it would obviously be a disappointment to a lot of fans if that was the case. I think for their long-term future, though, to your point, I think it is important to at least stay within reach of 10 wins where they got last year. They don't have to duplicate that, but at least a 9-win season, to me, it's important to kind of keep the train on the tracks and keep being able to sell that you are establishing yourself as one of the top programs in the SEC. So for this particular class, I don't think they're in much danger of, a top 10 class falling apart unless they just have a losing season. But for the long-term future, yes, I do think they need to at least have a solid year. And to me, based on the schedule, based on the teams that they're playing, that a lot of people are going to expect them to beat, they might be favored in all but 2 games this season, just looking at the schedule. Based on that, I think you need to win 9 games to kind of keep things rolling and be able to continue to sell that, hey, we're emerging as that greatest threat to Georgia in the SEC East, or former SEC East, I guess, soon to be, and one of the top teams in the SEC.
That makes a lot of sense. Look, obviously Tennessee has a long history of being very competitive and getting high-level recruits, so this is not new. But for a faction of this fan base, who much younger than we, this is kind of new to them. And I don't know if you keep up with you guys' message boards and stuff like that, if you get a chance to see a lot of that stuff. But, fan support and fan interaction has to be something that's positive right now, obviously, for Tennessee fans. How much do you see in that?
Oh yeah, no question. There's more excitement than we've been doing this now at GoVols 24/7. We're finishing up our 13th year since our launch, and so for our first 11 years basically of existence, it was nobody knew anything more than a 9-win season. There's a big difference in the way fans are feeling now, the way they're talking, just the expectations, the tone of everything. There's a lot more excitement and anticipation for even this season. You can see that in ticket sales. Tennessee sold out of season tickets this year, and they have already sold out 4 home games, and we're still 2 weeks out or almost 2 weeks out from the start of the season. They expect the season to basically sell out. So you can see it everywhere. It shows up on message boards, on social media. You see it when there's hand wringing over Tennessee not getting a 5-star, which happened last week a couple times when 5-star defensive lineman Williams Nwaneri picked Missouri over Georgia, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. And then 5-star defensive lineman Kamarion Franklin committed to Ole Miss after Tennessee was a strong contender for him for months. So the expectations have been raised. And yeah, there's a lot of excitement these days. And yeah, like you said, fans who've grown up not knowing Tennessee as the often elite program that we knew them as years ago, they're getting to see kind of what Tennessee really can be when this program has things rolling.
When you can go into Birmingham, Alabama and get a 5-star, that's a big deal. And I feel like, that's what it felt like in the 90s. You felt like any single person, it didn't matter where they lived, in Tennessee, outside of Tennessee, every single top recruit.
If Tennessee was in on them, they had a chance.
They had a shot.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like right now. At least for me. You may be seeing different. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's always been this way. I think it's we didn't have websites at that time back in the 90s to track all this stuff as well as we do nationally now. But I'm sure it did feel that way. And they were getting a lot of the top players in the Southeast. They could go into Atlanta and get a Jamal Lewis or a Deion Grant and beat out top programs to do it. To me, this is it's a similar setup to what helped Tennessee get to the top in the late 90s. Some teams around them are down, and that's another reason I think this window is important for Tennessee. Georgia and Alabama are up. LSU is now back. Not to the extent they were down, but they're back at the top of the league. I think under Brian Kelly. Aside from those 3 teams, the SEC is kind of wide open right now. Florida's down. South Carolina and Kentucky are feisty, but they're not 10-win teams right now. So that's why this door is open. And I think it is important for Tennessee to continue to establish itself as being up there, because you're right. Right now, they are being able to stay in a lot of battles that they weren't in recent years. And definitely to Mo's point earlier, for the first time since 2015, that's the last time we really saw Tennessee recruiting at this level. That was a top 5 class for Butch Jones's staff. That was a big class that kind of contributed to that ranking. But for the first time since then, they're really in a lot of big-time battles. They're winning their fair share. If they keep things rolling on the field, there's a chance for them to continue to stay up there, even as Auburn and some other teams in the SEC start to battle back and at least make things more interesting.
One more question before we let you go, because this has been a topic of discussion here in Nashville, particularly renovations, student-athlete centers and locker rooms and facilities. How much does that matter these days with these kids?
Great question. Yeah, I think not nearly as much as it did in the 90s. When you're talking about, NIL is all the talk these days, and with good reason. When you can put money in a player's pocket and in some cases change their families' lives, facilities pale in comparison to that to most kids, and especially in the SEC. Most programs have things at a pretty high level. Vanderbilt, I guess, has been one of the exceptions to that over the years. But, you go to places like Arkansas, the facilities are fantastic, and a lot of people wouldn't even realize that. But over the years, they've had great facilities. So the arms race in facilities, I guess, so to speak, is not nearly what it was 20 years ago. Teams are still trying to keep up, don't get me wrong, and they want to have the shiniest, coolest stuff they can to sell kids. But when they're picking schools, that's not nearly as big a deal. Things like Tennessee being on TV every week used to be a big selling point in recruiting. That's no longer a thing because everyone's on TV these days. So a lot of that's changed. And to me, it's very simple in recruiting these days. If you're battling for top level kids, you've got to put players in the NFL. That's first and foremost. You've got to be good in NIL, and you've got to win on the field, and probably in something close to that order. So it's about getting to the NFL and getting paid for a lot of these kids. And Tennessee obviously is becoming more competitive on the NFL front. And they're definitely competitive in the NIL space and on the field now.
Ryan Callahan, again, go Vols 24/7 at Ryan Callahan 24/7 on Twitter. Make sure to go give him a follow. Ryan, we appreciate you, and thanks so much for taking some time today. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to December when some of these kids will hopefully sign that dotted line.
Well, they'll sign a dotted line.
Yeah, hopefully it just has Tennessee up there at the top.
Exactly.
Appreciate it, man.
Right. Thanks a lot, guys. Say hello to everyone in Murray County. Hope everyone's doing well there.
Hey, Ryan, and I kept my promise.
You did. You definitely did. I appreciate that. But, maybe some other time we can get into that.
Yeah. We'll get back to that. Yeah. Talk to you soon, man.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. We'll take a quick break here. When we come back, Braves chatter, kind of baseballish, though. More baseball than Braves, I guess, overall. But plenty of Braves stuff to talk about. So let's get into it in just a moment on Main Street Sports Station. You know, I'm in Tennessee. Vaughn and Joel will be right back after this.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Let your child play like the pros this fall season and join Titans Flag Football in their NFL Flag Football League. Titans Flag Football is no contact, easy to learn, convenient with teams meeting once per week for practices and games on Sundays. And we cannot forget it's ridiculously fun. Teams are co-ed with ages from pre-K through 8th grade in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Visit TitansFlagFootball.com and sign up before registration closes on September 4th. Let's play together and win together this fall season with Titans Flag Football.
Y'all, I'm serious right now. They have a dragon here. I saw it. But no, they don't. There's no such thing as dragons. I swear, I saw it. It had huge claws. Get out of here. It had eyes as big as the moon. Come on, I'll show you. Wait up. Do you hear that? We're almost there. Whoa! I told you so. That is a dragon.
In 1948, and I was caught slightly off guard. Had to scroll back up. Despite allowing 8 stolen bases, including Jackie Robinson's steal of home in the 5th inning, the Boston Braves edged host Brooklyn 4-3 to take a 2-game lead over the Dodgers atop the National League standings. Clint Knatzer's 2-run homer in the 8th rallied the Braves late. That was this day in Braves history.
Always fun to beat the Dodgers, Brooklyn or not. Of course, Brooklyn and Boston probably
Boston, Milwaukee or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Boston, I bet Boston and Brooklyn had some Donnie Brooks.
Certainly.
I mean, I know Boston obviously and the Yankees had their, but man, I feel like Boston and Brooklyn are
just
those are two cities that I just feel like
probably didn't like each other.
Same type of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
very boisterous.
Very. I can imagine
Yeah.
that it was fun to watch those.
Yeah.
It was not fun to watch the Braves last night.
Oh man, that was tough. That was tough. I mean, because the Mets got out to that 3-0 lead, and then the Braves came back and tied it and went up, and you feel like, here we go again. Poor Mets. Yeah, right. But Mets got the last laugh last night, for sure.
The Mets did get the last laugh, and hindsight's 50-50. I get that. But and I didn't think about it, honestly, when we talked about it yesterday, but throwing Winans again 9 days after they saw him, it's almost basically like giving him a 4th, 5th, and 6th time through the lineup. They just saw him a couple of days ago. Nobody else has seen him since. He's 9 days between starts. He didn't start in Gwinnett at any point. So everything kind of pointed toward this might happen.
Yeah, and it's kind of amazing that, the number of people, and I did see someone tweet after the game that they expected this, they were afraid of this, blah, blah, blah. Nobody said it on the front end, though. And you would think people that get paid to make those type decisions, looking at you, Snit, looking at you, AA,
Yeah.
maybe this should have been seen in advance. Maybe it would have been better if he had thrown the last game of the Giants, especially if he didn't throw since that Mets start at Citi Field.
Maybe they don't care. Maybe one game against the Mets in August and giving your starters a little extra rest doesn't matter.
Maybe. Braves country does not want to hear that because they want to go 162-0 but that's certainly a theory. And if it is, in fact, the theory, it's certainly not wrong.
We're trying to win a World Series. We're not trying to go 162-0.
And again.
So that rest is not just the rest for the starters, but not taking him out.
Letting him kind of wear it a little bit. Yeah.
Just let him go. We want to rest our bullpen. We want to rest our starters. And the Mets have zero chance of coming back and beating us in this series. And oh, by the way, if the Braves just play 500 ball the rest of the way, the Phillies can only lose 4 games to win the division. So we don't care. We've got bigger fish to fry. And you know what? If that's the mindset, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, let's just get through this game. Let's just get through the next game. Let's just get through these last 40-something or 30-something that we've got.
It's 39, 38 now after yesterday. 39 games left in the season yesterday. And
again, I mean, if that's the approach, that's fine. It might make some of these games tough to watch, like last night, but sometimes you got to lose a battle to win a war.
Sometimes you got to lose a battle to win.
And the war won't be won until late October, early November, whenever that is. And as we've said on this show on multiple occasions, and as everybody that's a Braves fan agrees, they don't win a World Series, nothing else matters anyway.
So who cares if we lose a game to the Mets? I don't. If that's the mindset, I wish that Brian Snicker would come into post game and just
say that
and say,
"Look, guys, we
had
as Mike Tomlin said, we do not care.
It's fine.
Yeah,
we have bigger fish to fry. We have a larger goal in mind. This is the way that we feel we will reach that goal by the end of the season. So
and as we've said on multiple occasions, particularly early in the year, the Braves fan base is a football-oriented fan base.
Every game matters.
Yeah, I mean, this fan base is not built for a 162-game schedule at all.
It's not
at all.
If we could put a hockey schedule in front of them with 82, it'd be tough, but it'd be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
where you play twice a week instead of 6 times. Yeah.
Of course, then you got three days between games to marinate over
one loss.
Losing 10-4. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
But this fan base is not built for baseball.
They're not. And You just got to
Present company included.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are times where we're just like, are you kidding me right now? What are we doing? Yeah. So that being said, reinforcement coming. Kyle Wright rehabbing in Rome, and apparently is on the 40-man, so he's good to go.
Jesse Chavez.
Which, by the way, did you see the update on Jesse Chavez? That after the swelling went down, they found a microfracture, and that's why it's been so long?
Yeah.
So that's good to know. He's throwing live.
Yeah, that means that there weren't any setbacks involved necessarily.
That was what the injury was.
Right.
So he's throwing live BP.
Ozzy's working out on the field.
Ozzy's going to be back here in the next 10, 15 days.
I'd say he'll be back at some point on the road trip. That'd be my guess.
Either that or they just wait till they get home, depending.
Yeah, because again, you don't have to rush him back because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So,
all right, Rock.
The Braves are in a really good position,
but now here's the thing.
While you would love to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, especially if the Dodgers are on the other side of the NLCS. The fact is that you still got to win 4 games no matter where they're played.
But I feel better about the opportunity to win those 4 games if you have the home field advantage. I'm not going to blow that off. That's a big deal. But I do think that what concerns me when you say it doesn't matter is the Braves were the number 1 seed last year.
It's true.
So, I mean, you got to figure.
No, they weren't. The Dodgers won 116 games last year.
Okay. The Braves weren't the number 1 seed.
Right.
The Braves were not.
In the wild card round.
Right. And I think you got to find that edge between coasting into the postseason and having to win your way into the postseason.
And hopefully the fact that you don't want to see a team like the Phillies who just get hot at the right time in the DS by being the 1 seed where you know you're likely going to get a team that's on the lower end of the wild card.
I really kind of feel
perhaps that makes it, maybe that's the motivation that they need.
I kind of wonder if they shouldn't reseed after the wild card round.
I've always been a fan of reseeding.
I think TV
Except
likes
hairlines. Reseeding. I don't like reseeding hairlines, but I do like reseeding playoffs.
I don't have that problem.
Anyway,
but I
would agree with you on that.
I mean, having the number 1 seed should mean something, and you know, if the number 6 beats the number 3 some kind of way, then I should be able to play the worst remaining team. So, but I think TV likes knowing
who,
if then, as you like to say,
who, when, and where.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Weathers gives up a grand slam. Outside of that, though, didn't pitch terribly.
I wonder if he was too amped.
Perhaps. Josh Bell was. He hit one an absolute ton.
Well, he's certainly capable.
He said, I like San Diego. It's nice here. Oof.
I think not long after he got to Miami, he became the first hitter in Marlins history to homer from both sides of the plate in the same game. I've always liked him, though, even going back to when he was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but when he was in Pittsburgh, I really liked him.
Yeah,
great player.
And I'm not advocating for trading Matt Olson by any stretch, but it would never bother me to see him in a Braves uniform.
No, I would 100% like to see that. But yeah, tough night for Ryan. That being said, again, he was behind the 8 ball going into that game, pitching against Wacha, and
3 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts.
The walks are a problem. Outside of the walks, I
Yeah.
think he's okay.
Yeah, 5 walks and 3 1/3 is not great.
That and the 5 hits, 10 hits and walks will drive the whip up pretty quick in 3.1. So.
Yeah, that's not a good ratio.
But he's young, man, and you know a lot. The
And
problem with Ryan is that he made his debut in the major leagues, and
in the postseason,
he didn't have an opportunity to work his way into whatever his role is going to be through the minor league system.
or whoever he is.
And what he is. So
he's 23 years old.
He's 23. Look, Ryan's going to figure it out. He may have to have a year in AAA. He may just have to spend a year there, like Kyle Wright. I mean,
I think the issue that you run into with that, though, is that
service time.
Well, no, I don't even think it's that. I just think you see something in him that kind of tells you he needs to be at the highest level. And, maybe he's not ready for that. I don't know.
It really is. It's tough, but I think Ryan's going to be fine long term. But I do think that, sometimes your confidence gets shot when things like this happen. And so when you go down and dominate and you say, okay, I'm not as bad as I think I am. They're and I forget where I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was when Nick Saban at Michigan State got hammered by, they got hammered by somebody. I mean, hammered. Notre Dame, Miami, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposing coach walked up to him and said, "You're not as bad as you think you are right now." And I think that
you imagine somebody saying that to Nick Saban?
Right. But I mean,
yeah,
I think that's the key here is, I'm not saying Ryan Weathers is going to be the greatest pitcher to ever walk the face of the earth. But what I'm saying is that sometimes you just need to get that confidence back.
Yeah.
So.
That's wild.
No doubt. Let's.
I think the rest of college football would like to have a talk with whoever had that talk with Nick Saban.
I'm going to look it up and see if I can find it. I'm sure.
Thanks. Appreciate you. Yeah.
So
for unleashing the beast.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, Sam Doughton of MTSU will be back with us on Main Street Sports. So presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back Neck Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton here with you on this Top 5 Tuesday, Top 5 sporting events held in Nashville. Yeah, that's going to drive some traffic.
Well, it seems to be a hot topic.
It is a
here of late.
Hot topic. There's no question.
We might as well jump in and weigh in.
Bottom of the fourth inning with 2 outs. Nolensville leading Henderson, Nevada, 1-0. So
need some insurance. Who's the home team?
Nevada is the home team. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth. Looking at 3 outs in the bottom of the fourth after a strikeout there. We'll go to the fifth. 1-0 Tennessee over Nevada.
Need some insurance.
Insurance would be great. Yeah. Let's go now to the Borough. Normally this would be Chip Walters. Today it's Sam Doughton. And
I just want to break down, though, when Chip gets back, of what his menu was for the week.
Nah, that's all we need to care about. Next week, the entire segment is just going to be tell us
what did you
ate the entire.
What did you eat?
I hope you kept a diary.
Good Lord.
I would have. So, Sam, though, what's going on, man?
Not much, guys. Thanks for having me tag in for Chip this week, as he's hopefully over the Atlantic at this time today. Hopefully they haven't had any delays getting back home from Italy, but I know y'all have had fun following along. I certainly have. Looks like he had some sea bass with roasted walnuts last night as his last meal. Not what I would have gone with, but I'm sure after all the pasta he had the rest of the week, that was probably a nice change up for him. So, but definitely excited to pick his brain on what makes, Italian eatery so good in the next couple of days.
I just don't necessarily think seafood when I think Italy, but
well, they're in the middle of an ocean or of a sea.
They are. They're kind of that peninsula.
The entire thing is right there. So yeah, I mean, I guess
it's just you
don't think about it.
You don't. I don't. But Sam, what's going on in the Borough?
Not much. Camp is still going on for the football team right now. Today was their day off this week. So, starting to wrap up, starting to head into a little bit more of that game prep, but you probably have one more week where you're not as into game prep as you will be next week ahead of kickoff in Tuscaloosa on September 2nd. So still a little bit time to sort out the position battles, but things are starting to solidify now. We actually had I'm sitting in my cubicle in the office now. We had some guys who changed their numbers, some of the young guys that came in the summer. They came down to get some pictures taken so that we could put them in the media guide and some of the other things. So about that time, it's an exciting time of year here in Murfreesboro.
You said something that triggered a question and I lost it just that quick. Don't get old, Sam. But and it's not coming back to me. Go ahead, y'all.
Well, you mentioned going to Tuscaloosa, and the position battles are kind of shaping up. What does a trip to an SEC program, what does that look like for this program. I mean, obviously they don't have to go down, super early because it's just a couple hours, but they'll probably stay the night ahead of time, obviously. But what does a trip like that entail?
Well, I suspect that it is going to be a bus trip for the team just because it is so close by, which is not always the case, but it is fortunate that, the bye-game opponent this year is so close by for Middle Tennessee. And they will drive down the night before. They'll probably leave sometime Friday morning, Friday afternoon. They get down there, go through their walkthrough after they get checked into the hotel, and be ready for game day the next day. It's a late kick this year. I think it's kick at 6:30 Central Time. So they got a little bit of the day to lounge around, but I get to come down with sort of the second wave, so I'll drive down the day of with the game and get a chance to go cover it in Bryant-Denny when the time comes. But it's a tough one to start out. There's no question about it, but it's a challenge that the guys on the team are embracing. It's something they've talked about all camp long. When you get the little snippets that we get sometimes in their team meetings where they have player speeches that Rick Stockstill has his players go up and practice their public speaking in front of their teammates every camp, and just about every single one of them has mentioned the opportunity that the Alabama game presents. And after they beat Miami last year, I feel like this team feels like they can beat anybody, and who's to say they can at this point?
It came back to me. Have classes started yet?
Classes start next Monday, so that we don't have everybody back on campus yet, but most of the student athletes have made their way to campus at this point for all of our sports, spring sports, fall sports, everything else. And a couple of teams are in competition, but the classes have not quite started yet here in Murfreesboro.
So for football, they are still able to be tunnel vision on football for right now. Then for another few days.
Just a little bit longer, but it means that they get to practice in the morning, which is the biggest thing this time of year. They get to avoid the heat as much as they can, and knock on wood, we've avoided the rain the past couple of weeks, which sort of broke up some things in the first week of practice. But they've been able to get out there and run as long as they needed to the past few days, which has certainly helped get everybody prepared and give everybody some clarity heading into these last couple weeks.
Sam, obviously, some teams, like you said, are in competition, including on the pitch, where MTSU had some success at Dean A. Hayes Stadium over the weekend with a 3-1 win over Middle Tennessee foe Belmont.
Very exciting moment for the soccer team, Chris. That's a program that went through some growing pains last year after the departure of one of the program's best ever players, Peyton DePriest, who's the Conference USA's all-time leading scorer. So they went through some growing pains last year, but that was a big chance to get a win against a solid Belmont team under their belts, and a really good performance in the second half to pull out that win. And one of my favorite things about the soccer games here at Middle is it's free admission, so anyone can just sort of walk up to Dean A. Hayes Stadium on game day and get a chance to see the Blue Raiders, and it makes for a fun environment. We get a lot of families out there, and they're putting on a good product right now. They're really exciting to watch. It was a real back and forth game up and down the pitch. Felt more like a basketball game at times than a soccer game, really, with how much action there was. And that's always exciting to see, particularly here in the mid-state where, I don't know about y'all, but there are still some people that aren't real big soccer fans, and I think a game like that can bring new folks in. So that's always exciting.
Certainly a growing number of soccer fans in Middle Tennessee after the League's Cup run from Nashville SC, and hopefully that will obviously increase the excitement around a local program such as MTSU and Belmont. Other sports getting ready. Friday, volleyball heads over to Clemson. Should be fun.
Very exciting trip for them. This is about as challenging a non-conference slate as they've had since Chuck Crawford's been here, who's the head coach of the program. And, this is a year where they really feel like they need to go for it. Western Kentucky has dominated Conference USA, particularly now that Rice has left the conference over the past several years. And Middle Tennessee, it needs to start to make that jump, and they feel like they have the right mix of depth and leadership, and as well as some new players coming in that they feel like that they've raised their talent level enough that this needs to be the time. And Clemson, was sort of a lower end ACC team last year. It's a good starting spot, but then they travel to Iowa later in the season. And I think, you'll have a good feel for where they are as a program, after the first 3 weekends for sure.
Yeah, they follow up that game against Clemson with one on Wofford while they're over that way, I think. And I'm trying to get back to the schedule here. Yeah, they play Wofford on Saturday. Then the following weekend, they go out to Iowa for the Fry Fest Invitational, taking on host Iowa, South Dakota State, and Kent State. So, yeah, like you said, going to find out a little bit pretty quickly about this team.
They have a lot of confidence right now. That they swept their exhibition match, their last sort of tune-up against Evansville this weekend. So they're feeling good, but we'll have a good answer, I think, particularly after those first 2 weekends, on whether this is a team that can contend for that Conference USA title. And obviously, Western Kentucky is nationally ranked, so it's going to be quite a challenge. But at some point, you got to put in the work, and they feel like they've put in the work up into this point.
They continue to travel the next couple of weekends, go to Auburn for 3 and to George Mason for 3 before opening Conference USA action. And Chris, this is something that we've talked about on this show. Middle Tennessee State women open Conference USA action on September 22nd at New Mexico State.
Get it out the way early, I guess. If you're gonna when you're gonna make the trip, get it done.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean,
what's exciting is I think that trip is.
There's the beauty of realignment right there.
That trip is significantly easier this year than it has been in the past, because in the past UTEP was either partnered with UTSA or Rice or North Texas, and so that's 2 different plane flights in one trip, because you got to fly to wherever that destination is, and you got to take another flight to El Paso. Now, if you're flying out that way, and you're probably going to be paired up with UTEP and New Mexico State together, so you can knock out 2 games in that trip, or I think in volleyball's case, they're playing 2 at the same site. So that helps reduce travel for everybody, and it makes it a little bit more bearable for people. But, that El Paso swing is definitely something every team in our department has circled on our calendar every year.
Man, it is tough. And we're going to learn a lot from this, from this particular, this trip particularly. I mean, it's going to impact how softball does the trip. It's probably going to impact how other spring sports, other fall sports, particularly,
Sure.
when soccer makes the trip out there or something, in the next couple of years, you're going to have to learn. And unfortunately, they're the guinea pigs.
Yeah. Lucky them, huh?
So, but at least you'll learn something out of it. So,
Sam Doughton of MTSU Athletic Communications joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, as Chip Walters makes his way back stateside from his trip to Italy with the men's basketball team. Sam, what else are you keeping an eye on here as, classes get ready to start next week and everything really starts to crank up?
Well, I enjoyed y'all's discussion, sort of closer to the top of the show about Conference USA and sort of the news about the grant of rights, which was something I learned about the same time y'all did when Chris Vanini at The Athletic posted his CUSA preview this year. So that's been something I've been thinking a lot on today. And, Chris, I think I mostly echo your thoughts. It's almost entirely positives from my end. And, I want to be clear, I'm speaking just from my perspective on this, but I think you covered a lot of the benefits of the stability there and where the conference has been. And, I'd love to talk to Chris Massaro myself, when he gets back from Italy with the men's basketball team as well, and learn a little bit from him about how that came about. But, I think there's lots of benefits to it, and the national exposure that the football programs in particular are going to get with some of those midweek games in October are really, really exciting.
Why are we not surprised that Chris Massaro made the trip to Italy?
Hey, if I had an opportunity to make the trip to Italy, I would have gone too. So you know what? Sometimes it pays to be the guy in charge.
Rank has its privilege.
Rank has its. There you go. Perfectly said. Before we get you out of here, Gretchen Mead, a now graduate, has been named assistant coach for Jeff Breeden's Lady Raider softball team, and seems to be a very positive addition to the staff.
Oh, very exciting. The plan for her this past season actually was for her to be a graduate assistant with the program as she finished up a graduate degree here, I believe in the School of Education here at Middle Tennessee. But, they figured out she had some eligibility and they were able to convince her to pitch. And obviously she had, one of the best seasons a pitcher's ever had as a Blue Raider with the softball program this past year. And now she gets a chance to keep those coaching duties going. And they're very excited about having her in the office. I know she's a great presence and obviously has a great connection with her teammates that she's now going to get a chance to coach. And lots of things looking up over there in the softball office.
I knew where you were going with that.
MTSU's very own Zeb Noland,
the former South Carolina
graduate assistant
slash quarterback. Yeah. I don't think it was quite to that degree, but yeah,
it wasn't really out of necessity. It was more out of she's good enough to do it.
Yeah, she's still got some eligibility. Hold off on that coaching thing. Yeah. So that's awesome for her and for them. So that's phenomenal. That's good.
Oh, man. Well, again, Sam, we appreciate you taking some time with us today. We love getting a chance to talk about Middle Tennessee State and all the great things going on in the borough over there. And obviously what you do drives a lot of the conversations that we have on this show. So without you, we could not talk to Chip because we wouldn't know what's going on. And I
don't think he would either. I really don't. Yeah.
So we appreciate you and all the work you do, man. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate y'all checking in with us and having Chip on and now having me on. Lots of exciting things are happening in Murfreesboro, and I'm excited that I get to tell just a little bit of what that is with the fans around Middle Tennessee. But thanks for having me, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Sam. We appreciate it.
Top of the fifth inning, and there's your insurance.
Top of the fifth. There you go.
As Stella Weaver finds her way to home plate after a passed ball, and it's now 2-0 Tennessee in the top of the fifth with 2 outs. An 0-2 count there is a strike, and catcher just hit it off the top of his glove. And great job by Weaver to read it.
The old K/PB for the run.
No, it was just that made it an 0-2 count.
Oh, my bad.
But yes, so Carter Gormillion is at the plate right now with that 0-2 count, and just struck out looking on a really interesting call.
Hey, be careful. They're working for free. You can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Listen, it's a lot of little league umpires out there who would do this for free, including 2 people probably on the show.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I want all that.
But there's a situation happening right now in this contest that I will not mention because it's not something you mention
while it's going on,
while it's happening.
Okay.
But if you want to tune to ESPN, it might be worth doing so if you're so inclined.
If you would like to see
whatever
something
situation
that you don't see very often.
Yeah. And so 2-0 going to the bottom of the fifth. Big run there, obviously, from Nolensville. And anyway, Carter's favorite movie, you know how they give them, they give you all these little tidbits. Rush Hour. That's a great pick.
It is a good pick.
Just kind of,
yeah.
I mean, he's 12.
Right.
So that movie came out like 10 years before he was born.
At least.
So,
that's wild. Good for him for knowing about Rush Hour, though. I'll give him that.
Gotta love that.
It's nice that he appreciates Chris Tucker.
It is, in fact. Glad. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to go back to some reactions, some storylines that we missed yesterday. And so rapid fire, maybe not, because we got plenty of time to kill. So stick around. Main Street Sports Station presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and we'll be back after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. And that thing that I was talking about was a no-hitter that is no longer
and it's no longer a thing.
As the first hitter up doubles off the center field fence. So,
and again, I say, it's all your fault. It's all your fault.
It's brutal. One out in the bottom of the fifth. Runner on second, because he doubled.
One out.
Yeah.
5 outs to get.
5 to go. Yep. Don't let that deter you, kid. He's only thrown 58 pitches through this. So now there's a runner on third after a wild pitch in the dirt. Speaking of, don't let it get to you. All right, let's go through some of the weekend, and I guess some of this stuff might have taken place yesterday. Yeah, one of them I think maybe took place today. We'll start with it.
All right.
The Tennessee Titans have agreed to terms with a new kicker and waived both kickers they currently have on the roster.
Caleb Shudak is no longer a Titan. I can't remember the other guy who they cut, but they brought in Michael Badgley,
who was here 2 years ago, by the way.
He's been, I think he sticks out to me having been with the Chargers. I don't know who all he's been with.
Well, he was with the Lions last year and was 33 of 33 on extra points, 32 of 36 maybe on field goals with a long of 53. He didn't miss a lot last year with the Lions. Don't know why the Lions aren't keeping him, but Trey Wolf, the other
2 Fs.
Yeah, 2 Fs kicker who was released 24 of 28 on field goals last year, like I said, with a long of 53.
20 of 24.
Well, okay.
Maybe.
Ari Meroff, whoever he is, says 24 of 28. So I don't know.
Jim Wyatt says 20 of 24.
So I'm going to defer to you because you may have more information because I don't know who Ari is.
I know who Jim is.
Yeah. Ari over here who covers the NFL for the 33rd team.
Again, Jim Wyatt says 20 of 24. 94 of 115 for his career.
It's not bad. Why in the world is this guy not
available? Yeah. Released by the Lions and Commanders recently. That would kind of scare me.
He missed in 2021, according to, and this is from Terry McCormick of Titan Insider.
Of Titan Insider. I'm familiar.
In 2021, at Titans practices, he missed 3 of 10 field goal tries with no rush. All were wide right. Then he was wide right from 44 to end a 2-minute drill. However, penalty was called on the play, moving the kick 15 yards closer, and he converted the shorter kick. At the time, he said, it's just practice. I'm figuring some stuff out. I'm just getting ready to play against New England and make some kicks.
Is this today?
Yes, he missed 3 of 10 field goals with no rush today.
Okay.
But you know what? There are some players who are practice football gods. Jarrett Garantano looking at you. And there are some folks who don't fare well in practice, but the guy did it on the field last year. Now, granted, it's Detroit, and they've got a dome. I don't know if that makes a difference, but 20 of 24 or 24 of 28, depending on who's right.
Who you trust? Yeah.
And 33 of 33 on extra points. I don't know what the evidence is there that in the game, he's money, dude.
I mean, that's a tough sell, though, because if you can't do it in practice, how am I going to trust you to do it in a game? But again, history. Again, he's 94 of 115 for his career on field goals with a long of 59.
That's not bad. 94 of 115 I will take every time with the luck that the Titans have had with kickers over the last few years.
And 155 of 160 on points after PATs. Spent time with the Colts, Chargers, Bears, Lions, and Commanders, along with a brief stint with the Titans in 2021, as we referenced. So we're just going to throw in our hand and redeal.
I mean, just throw them all out, I guess. Anyway, Titans have a new kicker, so there's that.
And 2 kickers are on the street.
Chigo Conquo left practice early on Tuesday, went inside, could be seen flexing his right leg during a special teams period when he was off to the side. He then exited the field.
I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
No, and that may have been what Teresa Walker was alluding to when she said at this point, just put DeAndre Hopkins in bubble wrap.
Let's just cancel the rest of the preseason, and let's just fast forward to September 10th in New Orleans.
So There's that. Kyle Phillips, Traylon Burks, Monty Rice, Ojukwu, Jonathan Ward, Hassan Haskins, Jalen Duncan, Naquan Jones, all out for practice today. So, and Karis Jackson. Didn't know Karis Jackson was still on the team.
Receiver Racy McMath caught a touchdown pass and dunked the ball over the crossbar in celebration.
He's like 5'6". Is this Spud Webb over here?
He's taller than that.
Yeah, he is, but he's
yeah.
tiny.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
NFL receivers.
Relatively speaking. Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, Titans got some issues.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see here. Let's go into Memphis, because you mentioned this yesterday and I wanted to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis football has a ticket promotion that you have to pay $60 to watch Memphis play Bethune-Cookman. Is that right?
In the season opener, yes.
Okay, so you pay the $60 to watch Memphis play Bethune-Cookman in the season opener. Now, let me just tell you, that is a steep price to pay for a ticket
for
to
Memphis
see
and
Memphis and
Bethune-Cookman. Yeah.
But here's the kicker. If they win, and they should, but if they win, you get a free.
When they win.
I'm not going to say win. If you want to say that, feel free. If they win, you get a free ticket to the next home game.
Which is?
That I don't know. Did not look at their schedule.
Yeah, well.
I wasn't really concerned with it that far.
Because you weren't going anyway, huh?
I'm not, in fact, going to any Memphis home games that I'm aware of.
So they don't play UAB then, huh?
They do, but I don't think it might be at Memphis.
Dang it. Brett McMurphy tweeted this, and that's where I initially saw it.
Yes, that is where it came from. I can give you their schedule. I've got it. The next home game is Navy, where former Independence punter is currently fighting for the number one spot. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I just saw his
He didn't
dad.
transfer from – it's not the guy that was at UAB.
Not Kyle Greenwell. No, this is the kid who was after him.
Huh.
But anyway, I saw his dad Friday night at Columbia Academy. So Navy, if they win that, you get a ticket to the next game.
Which is?
Boise State. And if they win that, you get a ticket to the next game. And so on and so forth until they lose a home game.
Yeah, and their home schedule for the season, again, is Bethune-Cookman on the 2nd, Navy on the 14th, Boise on the 30th, Tulane on October 13th, South Florida on November 4th, and SMU in the regular season finale on November 18th. So, how many games are you going to get to see for $60?
3.
Yeah.
I mean, Boise State is iffy. I don't think they're not in the Boise State of old.
Right. 4 at most.
4 at most. I think they lose to Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they also lose to Boise. I don't know. I mean, Boise's a toss-up for me. Maybe they win that one just.
But, I mean, if you're a Memphis football fan.
That's a good deal. That's
I mean, at worst,
I
think you're going to see at least 2 games, maybe 3, possibly 4.
So
for $60.
Yeah. $20 a ticket if you just see 3. That's not bad.
Yeah.
So I think it is a unique promotion.
Oh, certainly. And I feel like they're probably getting some national run off of this as well, which it's as much for the attention as anything else.
Yeah, because obviously the more people you can get to buy $60 tickets. Now, if they win all their home games, you got season tickets for $60.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Now, obviously, they've got to win them all in a row. That's the thing. But Did you know that Memphis has the most home wins of any group of 5 team since 2014?
I did not know that.
They have the 4th most home wins in all of college football since that time. Behind Alabama's 59, Clemson's 59, Ohio State's 55, Memphis has 51, Georgia with 49. Since 2014, Memphis has the most wins at home.
Of any G5 team?
Of any G5 team.
Wow.
So
that's solid.
I mean, yeah.
Since 2014, so that's the dude that's at Florida State in addition to Silverfield, Mike Norvell. Is it just those two? How long was Norvell there?
2-3 years. Wasn't there long. But, I mean, here's the thing. I have long, especially in minor league football, I'm a minor league football fan. So I have long held the belief, and apparently the USFL agreed with me because they made $10 tickets and gave kids. I think the more butts you get in seats, the better off you are, because in my opinion, you can sell corporate sponsors for a higher price than you can sell tickets to individual fans. Because if I can say, yeah, we got 50,000 people coming to the ball game 8 times a year, well, that's 400,000 sets of eyeballs on your corporate sponsorship. I mean, to me, I feel like that makes more sense. So getting people into the Liberty Bowl is the key. Doesn't matter how you get them in. You just got to get them there.
Right.
So good call.
Justin Fuente.
That's right.
From 2012 to 2015.
That's right. He sure was.
So he was there for the first 2 years of that success, and then
parlayed that
into a job at Virginia Tech that he clearly was not ready for. But anyway.
Speaking of arena football, Justin Fuente, former Oklahoma City Yard Dogs quarterback.
Former Murray State quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's a good call. Good call, Memphis.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that is a cool promotion. Well done. Other topics of discussion. That's all I've got in that. So I know it's Tuesday, but I wanted to talk a little bit of high school football yesterday. We didn't get a chance to, so we might as well list some of our thoughts. I had biggest upset, best performance, and best game.
I'm not familiar enough with everything that happened in week 1, but to me, I would say biggest upset and best game were one and the same.
Yeah, Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Christ Presbyterian going across Old Hickory to knock off Brentwood Academy 17-16 in a game that they trailed, 16-3 at the half?
16-3, I believe, was the score at the half.
So, I mean, to shut out 2025 number 2 quarterback in the country, George McIntyre, and the Eagles for a half.
Man, they were just so much better up front in that second half. You watched it. I mean, they were just dominating up front in that one.
I think that was the best game.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest upset.
As far as most impressive performances, if you have a certain performance that you would like to be highlighted on the Main Street Preps Player of the Week, we have a poll. It's on the website at mainstreetpreps.com. Silvio Rizzo of Sycamore, sophomore, racked up 134 yards and a touchdown on 28 carries. They lost to Kirkwood, though. Wesley Gober of DCA ran 29 times for 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. Malachi Redmond of Dixon County ran 11 times for 93 yards. Kamari Turner of Giles County had 9 catches for 169 yards and a touchdown. He also recovered a fumble and had 50 yards on kickoffs. Darian Meza of Mount Pleasant caught 2 passes for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hey, efficiency, baby.
There you go.
Quality, not quantity. Big one there, 47-yarder and a 49-yarder for Mount Pleasant. Lee Buggs of Kirkwood threw for 256 and 3 scores, ran for 100 yards on 11 carries. And their first ever program win, Isaiah Groves, stop me if you've heard that name before, 21 times, 210 yards, 15 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns over Liberty Creek. Mason Baker of Hendersonville threw for 369, ran for 153, and had 5 touchdowns. He might have an argument up against Rutherford County's Thomas Santel III.
That's the name I was waiting for.
7 touchdowns for 540 yards of total offense. But yeah, to me, that's where it stops. That's the leader in the clubhouse.
Unfortunately for him, his game was a Thursday night, and so
there's a lot of
recency bias.
Recency bias, there's no doubt. But Mason Baker with a pretty solid outing against Gallatin in that one, and of course it being a rivalry game, that's what you like to see. Trey Doors of Brentwood ran for 154 and 2 scores on 16 carries. Gavin Mayfield of Wilson Central was 15 of 20 for 225, 3 touchdowns. Including 2 touchdowns in the final 123 of regulation to lead the Wildcats to a win over Rossview. How about that? Ty Clark, well, he carried it 7 times. But on those 7 carries, he scored 3 touchdowns and gained 131 yards. So,
again,
efficiency, baby.
Efficiency.
And White County's Trip Pinion ran 243 yards on 22 carries and 4 touchdowns in a win over Silverdale. Oh, by the way, he went 8 of 13 passing for 49 yards.
And had a pick.
And had a pick.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, also had a pick. So
sold popcorn.
MainStreetPreps.com for that poll. Make sure to visit to vote in that. But yeah, I mean, to me, Santel's still number 1.
That's tough.
Dude was just insane. But a lot of great performances on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. What a heck of a weekend to start high school football with 3 days. I'm all for that, by the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that every weekend some kind of way.
Not Saturday afternoon games.
No.
Do you remember Spring Hill Summit?
It was so hot.
It was the worst.
I have not sweated at a high school football game like that, except for when Beach and Station Camp played on ESPN, when Beach had Jalen Hurd and Station Camp had Josh Malone on a Sunday, and you could smell the sunscreen from the field. It was like a noon kickoff maybe on Sunday, and it was awful. But yeah, afternoon games, not
so much.
Afternoon games in August, definitely not a fan. Yeah. So
Nolensville has completed the final out. They win 2-1 over Henderson, Nevada. They
don't get the no hitter.
They did not get the no hitter or the shutout.
They give up?
2, just 2. But they will move on. And
when do they play again?
The Little League World Series bracket is not in front of me until for just a second, but it looks like they will play again on tomorrow. Don't know what time, but they'll play the winner of Metro, which is the Smithfield, Rhode Island team that they've already beaten once, and the West team out of California. So there you go.
You've already seen this, but what's your rapid fire reaction to Zion Webb being named the starting quarterback for Jack State? I know that you're not a big fan.
He's a 7th-year quarterback, okay? So experience matters, I think. I feel like he's probably the safest bet. I feel like in a Rich Rod offense, he will be more productive. But this team also brought in a transfer quarterback who I really thought had an opportunity. Logan Smothers he came from Nebraska, out of Muscle Shoals. Thought he was going to have an opportunity, but perhaps he just has to wait one more year. So look, I'm hopeful. I hope Zion has the best year he's ever had. Dude beat Florida State. It's hard to argue with that, but he just makes some really interesting decisions sometimes.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? But again, in a Rich Rod offense, I think he will be very, very tough to defend. He'll be difficult to defend, and I think that's really the most important thing. All right, it's time for Top 5 Tuesday. Justin, do we have a final on the poll?
I'm checking right now. 1 second. Stand by.
Standing by. Mo with the big win. 75% of the votes. Justin with 25% of the votes. Chris with 0% of the votes.
That means you go first.
That means I get to go first.
True.
Which means I get to choose what is the biggest sporting event in the history of Nashville.
Now, there's some parameters here.
There are parameters.
This sporting event had to take place in Nashville.
That's correct.
It did not necessarily have to involve a Nashville-based
It does not.
team franchise program. So, with those parameters in mind,
Top 5 Tuesday is brought to you by our friends at Mid-South 5 Fitness. Don't forget to see Thalas Still and the fine folks at Mid-South 5 Fitness as they get you in shape. Justin, are you ready?
I am. Let's do this.
All right. I am going to start. Oh, these are tough.
I've got a list of 10.
To me, I think the biggest sporting event, and again, not contest, event, is the NFL draft.
Good call. Did not have that on my list. Forgot about it. But yeah, and thought about it earlier, but when I was making my list, I did not think.
So yeah,
yes,
NFL draft is where I would start.
It's a good call. Justin?
I'm kind of torn between the obvious one and then the hat tricks. I'm going to go with the hat trick sending Predators to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2017. Colton Sissons.
Well, and I mean, as far as conference championships go, that's pretty big.
Sure.
Just the amount of people downtown. It's crazy.
I am going to go with a contest or with a piece of a contest. I'm going to go with the Music City Miracle.
That's a
98 wild card game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was that the first playoff game in NFL history in Nashville?
Yes.
Well, of course. I mean, to me, that's huge. That is a massive deal. For number 2, and this is going to really tick off the soccer crowd, but the League's Cup final wasn't even the biggest soccer event to ever happen in Nashville. The 2021 FIFA World Cup qualifier is bigger, period. I don't give a darn what you say, soccer fans. It wasn't even the biggest soccer match in history.
I don't disagree with you.
It's
but there are plenty of people that will.
World Cup.
World
Cup CONCACAF.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, speaking of CONCACAF, that's anyway. Justin, number 2.
My number 2 is Goodlettsville coming up big in the Little League World Series. That was just huge. I was a junior in high school. It was electric.
Yep. It's a good call. It's a good pool. I am going to go way back because I'm not messing with either soccer or hockey at this point. But in 1993, there was a women's college basketball game at Memorial Gym featuring top-ranked Vanderbilt number 2 UT that Vanderbilt Chancellor Joe B. Wyatt couldn't get into because it was the first advanced sellout game in the Southeastern Conference women's basketball history.
They could not get the Chancellor a ticket?
The Chancellor could not get into the gym.
That's impressive. That's impressive. I'll give you that one. That's huge. Yeah. That is huge because on my list is something similar. I'm going to go with my third pick. I'm going to have to say the first Music City Grand Prix. I think it was huge. People were very confused about what it was going to be like racing downtown Nashville over the bridge. First time that's ever been done. Mm-hmm. The first Big Machine Music City Grand Prix for me, I think, was a major event. Mm-hmm. Justin?
Let's see. I'm going to go with I liked Charlie Daniels perform in That's Not Sports. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go with Derrick Henry running 99 yards against the Jaguars and forever being their father.
I mean, not really an event, but
that's part of an event.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mo, number 3?
Number 3. Going back to Memorial Gym. 1982 NCAAs. Everybody anticipated a Kentucky-Louisville matchup. Blue Raiders spoiled it by beating Kentucky. At the time, that was a pretty big deal. I mean, when you had going on what you had going on in Nashville in 1982. So it's kind of tough to grasp it at this point. But yeah, that's my number 3.
My number 4 is the NCAA Women's Final Four from 2014. Any Final Four, I think, is huge.
Sure.
And it's hard to top. I mean, I know that the outcome is not what anybody in this state would have wanted to see.
No, not at all. But it's still.
But it was
it's a women's Final Four.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was on my list. Justin?
I'm going to go with NHL All-Star Weekend.
Good call.
2016.
That was a lot of fun in 2016. Folks just absolutely packing downtown before it was cool.
Number 4.
Yep.
Vanderbilt's first bowl win in 53 years, 2008 Music City Bowl, when they beat Boston College 16-14. And a punter was named MVP.
Which is by itself. Well, I'm going to stay right there with you. The first Music City Bowl. They said it wouldn't happen. They said it couldn't stick. Here we are, 25 years later, baby.
Wow.
This will be the 25th anniversary of the Music City Bowl. And
who was that?
Virginia Tech and Alabama, and it was freezing cold at Vanderbilt Stadium, and Virginia Tech beat the pants off of Sean Alexander and them.
That's right. Okay.
38-7.
Justin, number 4, 5. Sorry. Number 5.
NASCAR's Champions Week 2019. Burnouts on Broadway.
That was fun.
That's awesome.
I had a good time with that.
Yeah.
Finally, Mo?
Finally. Goodness gracious. I'm sounding kind of homerish, but 2007 NCAA Nashville Regional, Vanderbilt goes in as the #1 national seed and can't get off their field because Michigan freshman Allen Oaks puts one on top of Memorial Gym off David Price.
Yeah, that was a big event. I mean, to have the #1 seed here in town, and yeah, that's rough. That's going to do it for Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Come back tomorrow. We will have Heather Williams. Oh, and off the top at 2 o'clock.
Be here early.
Clark Lee joins us live to talk Vanderbilt football right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We will see you then. Until then, have a great one.